Welcome in everybody to Sports Profit TV. I've got another college football release pick for you guys tonight. First, some housekeeping like always. Pretty good week last week for subscribers. 4-2 overall on the college football weekend, Friday and Saturday included. But we hit both of our big plays. So both of our 2-unit best bets were winners. 2-unit best bets are now 3-1 in 2023 season, 19-8 last season. So they're now 22-9 dating back to the last two seasons. So 2-unit plays are 71% over the last two seasons. Pretty pleased with that. So we'll definitely look to keep that going. I've got another one circled this weekend. One thing real quick about the slate, I'm just going to be totally honest. This is one of the trickier. I shouldn't say trickier. I think the lines are tighter. I think the books have kind of. I think they've got a pretty good hand on the lines this week for college football. To be honest with you, because I really did some digging, and I'm probably lowering my volume this week. Just because I think odds makers did a good job this week. We will definitely have some spots. Like I said, I already have a 2-unit spot circled that I like. And obviously the pick that I'm about to share with you guys. So, but when you feel like that, when you feel like, it's kind of a tight week across the board, like I feel like it is this weekend, just pick your spots, dial back your volume, and just try to, go 3-0 instead of trying to go 10-0. So just some general advice there. But yeah, let's go ahead and get to it. These college football release videos have been really good. We have gotten closing line value on every single video so far this season. So we'll look to keep that going with this pick. All righty, looking at Tulsa. We're looking at Tulsa traveling to Florida Atlantic to Boca Raton for this American Athletic Conference game. Now that FAU is included in the American Athletic. FAU, they had Tom Herman come in. Obviously, most of you guys know who that is, former Texas Longhorn head coach. He comes in. FAU's got 8 guys coming back on offense, 10 back on defense. So expectations are really high going into the season. And here they are sitting at, I think they're 1-3. Let me take a look just to make sure. Yeah, so they're 1-3. The only win so far for FAU was against FCS Monmouth. Then they go on to lose 10-17 at home against Ohio, who's obviously a really good MAC team. 14-48 on the road, lost to Clemson. 17-23 loss on the road at Illinois. So not the easiest schedule, but it hasn't been what FAU fans were hoping for going into the year. Tulsa 3-2 right now. They've also played a pretty tough schedule. Played Washington and Oklahoma. They've got a new coach as well. Phil Montgomery, longtime Tulsa coach, is gone. So new coach Kevin Wilson comes in and takes over the reins. But I'm going to be looking at a bounce back spot here for FAU. And like I said, I really had to dig into this slate to find some angles that I liked. And this one is definitely an angle. I'll get into it. So Casey Thompson transferred in from Nebraska. He was their big transfer portal get for this FAU team. Obviously, probably has some kind of connections with Herman. Having been at Texas, I guess 3 seasons ago. But he spent his last 2 seasons at Nebraska, and he comes in and. To be quite frank, he was just really bad. He's just been horrible for FAU. He's out for the season due to an ACL injury, which we never like to see that. But he was not productive up until that, excluding the FCS game against Monmouth. Casey Thompson, during his tenure at QB1, threw 0 touchdowns and 4 interceptions in playing time against Ohio and Clemson. So really, really bad, just to be honest. Daniel Richardson is now the starting quarterback for FAU. Daniel Richardson, is definitely a unique quarterback at the FBS level because he doesn't look good. Like his release is funky. Every time I watch him play, it drives me crazy. But you just have to ignore that and look at his efficiency and look at, how is he running the offense. He actually has good numbers. So he spent his last 2 seasons at Central Michigan, 60% completion rate over his career at Central Michigan. He had 15 touchdowns, only 5 interceptions last year at CMU. And he has come in, and immediately the offense has looked better. It looked better even against Clemson when he came in the second half, and it looked better last week against Illinois. He had 2 touchdowns and 1 interception on 28 for 49 passing. So my angle here on this game is that FAU, look, they've still got talented receivers. They've still got a lot of returners. The defense actually has not been as bad as the stats might suggest because they've been on the field all the time. And like when you look at the box score against Ohio, they were on the field the majority of the game. Same thing against Clemson. In fact, Casey Thompson basically threw 2 pick sixes. There was also a punt return that also went for a touchdown for Clemson. So that game was a lot the margin of victory at the end of the game was a lot wider than the actual game on the field would have indicated. FAU's defense is actually pretty tough. They've just been on the field the entire season. So FAU at home here, taking on, by far, other than the FCS team they've played, their most manageable and probably weakest opponent that they've played. I mean, obviously compared to Illinois and Clemson, in Ohio, all 3 of those teams are better than Tulsa. So Tulsa comes in, and Tulsa wants to run the ball. Like Tulsa lives and dies by the run. They have a mobile quarterback. Their last 2 games against Northern Illinois and Temple, which are the 2 games that I've spent the most time analyzing because it doesn't really do me any favors to spend a lot of time looking at Tulsa against Oklahoma and Tulsa against Washington because it's just too big of a gap. So I look at those last 2 games, 48 runs, only 20 passes against Northern Illinois, 53 runs, only 17 passing attempts against Temple last week. Well, the good news is for Florida Atlantic, they're 28th in the country in EPA against the run. They're top 50 in line yards defensively against the run. So, and that's with them being on the field the whole season. So you got Daniel Richardson in at quarterback now. The offense looks a lot better. They were able to establish a pretty good run game against Illinois on the road. That game ended 24-17. It was competitive. Again, it's not pretty with this guy, but he gets it done, and the offense looks a lot better with Daniel Richardson at quarterback. And he's the guy because Thompson's out. So he'll be out for the year. So this week's advanced play for the release show is going to be Florida Atlantic -3.5. Wouldn't be surprised if this was another video where this closes at a much bigger number. Like I said, every video that I've posted so far this season, through the first 5 weeks of the season, we've gotten closing line value on. I don't see why this would be any different. Let me see if I've got anything else for this one. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the gist of it. I think it's a better matchup than people realize. I think people are writing this FAU team off. And I think with the new quarterback, the offense looks more efficient. Defense won't be on the field nearly as much. And I don't really think Tulsa are like world beaters. I mean, they beat the heck out of Temple, but man, there's not many teams in the country that look worse than Temple so far this year. So, I mean, I want to back Temple this week, now that I'm thinking about it, just from a number standpoint, UTSA coming to town, but I don't know if I can because they just look so bad. Like I don't know if that's salvageable. So, but that's a discussion for a whole nother game. So again, FAU -3.5 here for my release pick today on the video. Last week, obviously we cashed Illinois and Purdue over 52.5. I gave that out as a free 2-unit best bet. Again, if you're just joining at the end of the video, 2-unit best bets, 22-9, 71% over the last 2 seasons. I've got another one circled for this weekend. So make sure, if you're interested in my best plays, it's going to be right there at thesportsprofit.com. And appreciate everybody tuning in, and we'll see you next week.